Good evening, everybody. It's a Wednesday night, the 27th of March, for episode 129 of So What's Been Happening. Bloody hell, a lot's been happening. That's all one thing I can say. But one thing that has been happening this week is the Benalla Street Art Festival, 21st to the 28th. It's only got a day or so to go. That's the live painting kind of component, but then it's on to keep for the next little period of time. So make sure you can try and get out road trip up to Benalla. I'm going to try and organise a bit of a bus crew to get up there and visit the sites. We might have lunch at the Northo, which is the pub up there that was gracefully put me up for a night. And believe it or not, hosted my first trivia night. So that was interesting, to say the least. All right, it's an interesting day in AFL football, sport. The drugs drama rears its ugly head. Just before we do, let's just break it up a little bit with a bit of humble and sports metal.
It was ours and we knew it to be our own. From the pages of black, from the strands of wild hair to the stickers we rated as currency. Steelwork skyline, David Campese, David Lee Roth. It was the world as we wanted it to be. Objects of cars on Sunset Strip. Objects of girls and women. Objects of jagged edge guitars. Hot metal, sparse metal. Cut grass, cold concrete. Hot metal, sparse metal. Eddie Van Halen.
There you go, Eddie. It's finished off with this was Eddie Van Halen, but in this case, it's been Eddie Zammit week. So we'll celebrate Eddie Zammit week into the future as we bring him on and we talk about what's been going on. But in the meantime, we're going to talk to our great mate, Lovey. Bring him up, mate. How are you, bud?
Mate, how are you?
Feeling a little disheartened, personally, today.
You should be. You should be.
Yeah, I think throw enough shit and eventually a bit of mud will stick to this one. It's disappointing. On a positive note, the Benalla Street Art Festival has been absolutely killing it. And I just want to give you a little teaser. One little mural that this guy here has done an absolutely incredible mural that's about, it's nearly 3 stories high, 30 meters long. And that's from an artist called Dexter out of Berlin in Germany. So welcome, Dexter. I interviewed him a couple of days ago, so I'll run that interview in the next week or so. But incredible effort. Like, it's all done as like little pixels, kind of like that Minecraft.
Excuse me, ignorance. Has he spray painted the like pixels or
spray paint? Yeah,
shit.
Yeah, phenomenal.
That is ridiculously good.
Absolutely.
Bloody
hell.
So
lots happening there. So make sure you get out. Here we go, Benalla Street Art Festival. Please get out there and try and check out this one sometime in the next week, month, year. There's been that festival's been going for about 6 years pre-COVID. It was known as the Wall to Wall Festival, as Eddie touched on last week, but now it's renamed as the Benalla Street Art Festival. So, look, the sickening part of today came out kind of overnight. There was a little bit of a whisper and a rumor, and then it all the bomb dropped, so to speak, to this news on the Herald Sun. This morning, bombshell claims. At the end of the day, it's been largely thrown directly at the demons. It's probably our turn, I guess you'd say, for all this stuff. But it really kind of pisses me off that this whole story isn't really in relation to just the demons. And it's a bit of a hard one to swallow, isn't it?
Yeah. I've kind of forgotten about the fact that it's the Melbourne Demons. What I'm disappointed in, and hence you can see what my name is tonight, on so many levels, this is just so disgusting. I feel disgusted now following this level of the code itself. If ever people were turning to local footy instead of AFL, more will do so after this. It's just become a corporate machine that pretends to care about stuff that really they've got A, no idea on, and B, don't wish to address it. I've been told two decades ago that there was going to be a drug problem, if not already, across your AFL footballers. I mean, I'm not going to name certain names, but we know there's been incidents over the years where players have fallen into it, and the AFL did nothing about it. They tried this drug code, but guess what? 3 strikes. I mean, what's that? You know, all those sort of things. And then you have that fucked media conference today, and it smelt and it stunk a lot like that one they did for the Essendon saga many years ago. And I cannot believe that people like Andrew Dillon and that could actually stand up in front of not just the press club or whoever it was, the scrum, but in front of people that pay their money and just give us the shit that they did today. They should all be sacked. They should all be just run out of town. This is a disgrace. Melbourne will suffer their pain. To be honest, and I reckon you need to feel pretty sick in the stomach about this. If they're going to go down the same path as Essendon with this stuff, if the AFL say they want to be strong on it, well, either Jobe gets his medal back and Melbourne doesn't get touched, or, you know, the same things occur to Essendon what happened to Melbourne, and that includes your premiership in 2021. It's so sad, but, you know, this is the thing with this code. It's run by cowboys now at club level, at AFL level.
Yeah,
I'm like I said, mate, I'm disgusted, and I was going to go to the footy this weekend, but just don't feel like it.
Yeah, it's interesting how the AFL kind of have dodged it and really thrown it back on the AFLPA, which I think is quite pathetic. You've got to own it.
The AFL signed off. The AFL also signed off on that document.
Yeah.
You know?
So the crux of the story really is that there's basically been testing done off premises or off track, so to speak, which has been done at Dorevitch Pathology in Heidelberg over many years. This situation's gone on. They didn't actually confirm whether it was still current at the moment, I don't believe. But the question is, you know, this testing that's been happening, which is basically a drug test to prove that you're either positive or negative, and then if you're positive, obviously there'll be a late withdrawal on the player that was picked potentially to play that game. So that way he avoids the WADA testing and everything else if he plays the game. And the bottom line is he walks away with effectively no penalty. Whether that nominated as a strike, I don't think it did. So I don't know. It's so hard to understand. And it's the big chance right then and there for the AFL to come out and be transparent on what this actual is, and they've said nothing at this stage.
But how's the I don't understand how that actually worked, because Joel Smith, he's got 4 years. Is he appealing for 2? I can't remember now.
Yeah. Well,
so he tested before. He tested positive before a game for illicit drugs. So I would suggest you join the dots. It's pretty recent. Because, you know, Clayton's obviously had his issues as well. But bottom line is you've got a football club that's tried to hide drug culture, and you've got the AFL wittingly knowing that this was occurring and did nothing. And it's contrary to what occurred 10 years ago with the Essendon saga. The Essendon saga doesn't differ from the Melbourne saga. Drugs are drugs. And the concern I've got now is the integrity of this of this sport at that level. And the only other thing I'll say on this, having been involved in local football for such a long time, and having been a guy that playing, coaching, all the rest of it, I've always maintained that you do what you do on your own time anywhere else. You come to clubland, you're clean, or fuck off. This stuff at the highest level makes it it's just impossible to try and implement policies at the local level when they can't even do the right thing themselves. I mean, they bitch and moan about it. They say they want a ground zero and they're going on head high tackles and all the rest of it. How's about getting onto the real topics here? Stop pretending you know about drug culture and maybe just listen to your experts for a change and start putting in more stringent testing and putting in actual, and I get the AFLPA is also accountable to that, put in stuff that's going to be materially effective because otherwise this will just keep going. You said you're the second club, mate. There's 16 more instances coming up. You watch over the years. Every club's going to cop a whack on this.
Well, the really interesting part is they talk about this testing being done, off-site, out of game time.
What does that even mean? Like, what's that? Where's the integrity in that?
Yeah, what makes training any different? As you know, as a work employer, and that you're expected to turn up every day, every hour you're working, and to be able to be tested at any stage.
And you should be clean.
Correct. And so why is this related only to game day?
Yeah,
it just doesn't make
sense. It's because the excuse is put out there that these guys have got lives and have their own social lives and every now and again, you can't stop young men doing stupid things. Well, we can in our workplace. We fire them, we sack them. You're gone. Zero tolerance. Bye-bye. If you're a habitual user of drugs, some businesses have a 1 strike, 2 strikes, whatever. But essentially, I know in every workplace I've worked in the last 15 years, it's a zero tolerance policy. It's the way it should be. Because you're putting other people at risk as well with your habit as well as yourself. So I'm staggered at the lack of like you say, the lack of integrity from AFL House on this. Melbourne will cop their whack, but how the AFL Commission cannot walk away from this at all because all of them, Lauren Kane would have known about this, Andrew Dillon would have known about this. They all would be in on this. Yeah. They know it and they've done nothing. If you said it was happening quite a few years ago, Aaron, what were the AFL doing about it then?
There's no doubt a blind eye was turned years ago.
Yeah.
To some degree, it largely is now as well. But it was interesting to hear Nathan Buckley talk this morning about the fact that he had some late outs, and he had 4 guys do hamstrings and we're going to be out for 4 weeks. Now that just doesn't add up, right? Especially as a high performance athlete like Nathan was, and to not have said, mate, what the hell is going on here? This just doesn't compute, right? Must have smelled a rat at that stage. So that kind of feels like a dirty cover up. Right from the start.
And this is where I think, as an Essendon supporter, I know something happened. Because you remember in the second half of that year where we smashed it, we were like 10-2 under James Hird. And then we lost something like 8 of our last 9 games and missed finals.
Yeah.
And we had a multitude. We had a bunch of soft tissue injuries, apparently, in that second half of the year. Yeah, right. And they were all 3 weekers. And you kind of add all that up and you go, something did happen. There's no evidence. There's no actual concrete evidence that a player took it. I mean, that's a fact as well. But subjective, I think hypothetically, clearly something was going on with Dankin and the rest of those guys at that time. And you would have to say something similar in the last few years has happened at Melbourne too. They've had some bad soft tissue injuries. Yeah. Soft tissue. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it is. But
it's just, I hate AFL. I can't stand it when this shit just keeps popping up.
Yeah, it's, and everyone used to throw shit at the NRL that they was doing, what they were like off the field and all that stuff.
When I better.
Well, they've had a couple of their, cocaine issues with a few players over, on trips and stuff, and they've literally come out and blatantly admitted it. I know they had to because it was so obvious because they had video footage, but they didn't really have a choice. But I don't know whether they cover it up better or just have made it gone away. But it's a different story now, isn't it? The shoe's on the other foot, and they must be just sitting back after they've been in Vegas on a successful big trip and thought, well, how's the start of our season looking compared to yours?
The problem with the AFL is because they're so conflicted now after today. I don't know which way they go on this. I honestly don't, because they can no longer be trusted with it. But if I was the AFL, I would go ground zero on this stuff, and I would assume every player's on it, and I would go over the top of the AFL Players Association if you want to get integrity back in the sport from a drugs perspective.
Yep.
And I would be saying to the Players Association, your guys, your members can do whatever they like. At the moment, there is a positive drug test, their contract is torn up. That's it. You ground zero it and then go from there. And then you work out, even at the TAC Cup level, are you fair income about your footy or not? And then you blend that in from there. You know, and the other thing I've got on this, so sorry, mate, I know it's just one more thing I want to talk about on this, and I've said it a number of times. Too many young men with too much money at too young an age. Yes, they've got player agents, but the player agents probably aren't even aware of what they're doing at night time as well until they get phone calls. So, you know, disposable income, that's an issue too.
Yeah, it's it absolutely. There's too much of it. You're right. And as Jace is saying, there's actually no requirement for the AFL to have an illicit drugs policy. It's probably right, and that's possibly why they just letting it roll out. It's not actually their requirement. It's basically a players' requirement from a players' association requirement. But you would have thought there's got to be a line in the sand moment where, you know, should we really be having a 3-strike policy? That's probably what I've got a question. I don't
think it should be 3 strikes.
Any other workplace? Yeah,
I mean, it's first strike gone at that level with that sort of contract available to you. You should know better. I don't care who you are. At 18 years old, you know drugs are not the right thing to do at 18. And I get peer group pressure on that, but guess what, boy? You're an adult. You've got to make a decision. Do you want an AFL career, or you want to fuck it up on the top of a toilet one night? That's your call.
Yeah, well, there's no question. I mean, if we're accepting that any time other than game day is actually okay, effectively, is what we're saying, right?
Yeah. Don't ASADA have coverage of illicit drugs as well as performance-enhancing drugs?
I don't know on that one. To be perfectly honest.
I think there's another. Maybe not ASADA, but I think WADA may actually have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but you know, where are they in all this too?
Yeah, well, both organisations.
I don't know. I'm not accusing them. I don't know where WADA sit on illicit drug codes and stuff. So,
it's fair to say, come round 3, there might be a little bit more ramped up testing. Possibly happen.
Some soft tissue pullouts, mate.
Yeah. As Jace says, not outside game day. Absolutely. That's what I was getting at, Jace, before, that the fact that no other business in industry at all would only have, you know, technically your game day is 5 days a week, 38 hours a week. You're employed to be there. These players are technically full-time now and pretty much there every day. I can't understand how they can't be tested during that period. You can tell me you can take illicit substances and be able to be in the gym. You know, what's the liability there? Players in the pool could drown. Anything could be happening. You know.
Yeah, but I want to go to the practical part of this. How simple could it be? You get tested before game. You get tested on game day. And you get pinpricked on the Tuesday before you train. Twice a week. That'll do it. It's fine. You get a pinprick.
I definitely think the AFL's got to do something about a second, version of the. I just bring in the absolute wrong message. If it's just, you're right, hypocrite is exactly the situation, but it's so much more than that. It's just ironically fucking stupid, moronic. It's going to take a brave CEO, basically, of the league to authorise, what really should be happening. And the question
it won't be this mob. Won't be this lot.
I wouldn't have thought so.
And I reckon that's why Brendan Gale never got the fucking job either. It's stuff like this.
Given that it's interesting that all the CEOs came out, or a lot of the CEOs came out and said, basically, we know nothing about this. This policy is new to us. It's like, what? You've got to be joking, you know?
They would know. They would know.
Yeah.
No.
All right, here we go with one of our favourite segments.
Like the 89 grand final, Cousins Classic. Like a dim sim, Cousins Classic. It's what the crowd come to see, Cousins Classics.
The question is, where the fuck is Cuz? He's done it to us again. He's done it to us again.
Is he Alice's brother, is he? Where the fuck is?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
Cuz.
I'll let you talk.
Look, Cuz, we do this show, especially this sports chat, because you are so passionate about the sporting space. We do our best to try and jump on and have these chats, just literally to have a bit of emotion, talk to people like Jason, jump on and have a chat to us. And, you know, it's a bit of a mental release for the day. I question, you know, I don't question what you're up to, Cuz. I just question the lateness of your response, given the fact that you said yes mere 2 hours ago, and 1 hour and a half ago you said no. So I can only hope it's a better offer. But Cuz, come on, mate. Join the team or get out. Get out, mate. It's a 3-strike rule, and you've had about 10. So give us a chance, Cuz. I got no more to say on Cuz.
Well, I have a pretty strong filter on who my mates are. And I can tell you now, when you have more pull-outs than... I better not say that. It's, you know, you keep pulling out, you keep just letting us down time after time. And there's 16 wheels on this truck, and I reckon 14 tyres are flat right now because it's just you keep puncturing our segments. You keep just not rocking up. Now, I am going to cross the line here, Az. You know I do. I know exactly what he's doing. He's having dinner with his mum, his cousin, and someone else. Now, I get it. You love family. We all love our family and all the rest of it. You have prior notice for this show, Glenn. And when you have prior notice for this show, Glenn, it means that you prepare accordingly. You plan. You have dinner early. You do whatever you need to do. Well, you know what? Put the mobile phone in the middle of the table so we can say good day to Mrs. Karen. And we can say good day to your cousin and the potato head, whoever's there. But I don't know who's left. I don't know how many chances there's left on this now, Aaron. It's just disappointing. It is for him. So this broadcast goes out to you, Glenn. Show up. You prick.
Yeah, show up. Come on, mate. We wanted you a part of this. You were there kind of from the humble beginnings. It was very humble, mind you. 129 episodes later, we want to try and hit 150 with a bang if we can pull it off this year. So come on, Cuz. Get in or get out, mate. We're going to actively recruit otherwise.
Are we writing his epitaph next time?
I think we might be. We might have to. Yeah.
Yeah. So the topic of his Cousins Classics, are we going to go through that, or do we wait and see if he rocks up next time?
I think we'll boycott that, given we'll throw that one back to the integrity committee, that it was a lack of quality anyway. But anyway, we'll move on, mate. We'll move on. So that brings me to keep going.
Just a heads up. I think I've done my Love Is Losers, by the way. We don't even need the intro tonight. I think we're clear.
Yeah, right. Well, that makes it easy. And fair to say, it's fair to say we do need to lose it on this scenario. It wasn't sort of just based on you, the Lovey loses it today. It was a case of just feeling flat and deflated. So there's no point throwing more fuel on the fire, other than will go down as another. I wouldn't say it's the worst day in football, like they brought out that the big Essendon saga, but I'd say it's the most disappointing release that's come out in football, and I question how it's been delivered as well in Parliament House from a minister that is independent minister that is from Tasmania, that doesn't want the Tasmanian game to kick off, that doesn't like the AFL. It's just stinks. The whole thing stinks.
Everything is smelling about this code right now at that level. I said it before. Until they change their own culture in there, the nepotism is backfiring on them so badly over this last 20 years.
Yeah.
Dimitri and McLaughlin over there, Sin Saga. How many salary cap breaches have also occurred in their time? I mean, they don't have as much control as much as what they think. They want to try and stranglehold and choke on everything else around the AFL except the shit that they actually should be addressing. So I'd like to think I'm speaking on behalf of majority of footy fans who just had enough of this commission and just the way the code's been run. It's shit. Yeah. Anywhere else, mate, most of these people will be moved on from their jobs. It's just unforgivable.
Yeah. And I think we've got the fair summary from Berkey on what we need to do with Cuz.
Hang on. That's a very broad field there, Berkey. Can you actually elaborate?
Well, I think there's a few tests that probably need to happen, but let's move on to probably even as big a disappointing news today that I just saw this afternoon is sadly the Splendour in the Grass has been cancelled. Another festival goes down. I'm not sure of the ins and outs of why. Obviously, the headline act was Kylie Minogue, which is absolute world class. Splendor's been around ever since I can kind of remember festivals, which is
20 plus years, easy.
It's not the first one that's gone down. It's not the first venue that's gone down. I'm putting it back to all the way up to Albanese, who says he likes music. Mate, don't kid yourself. Get involved and actually get some of these things back up and going again.
Right.
And I really question, what they're going to do next as far as keeping things going. But look, there is light that I wanted to talk about, and that's this one was announced yesterday to the Cherry Bar Cherry Fest 24, Saturday, 4th of May. So get that one in your diary. Some killer bands on this list that are coming up: Willie J and the Bad Books, Gooch Palms, Ben Mastwick and his Millions, Hot Machine, All Girl Band, Avalanche, Persecution Blues, The Strip, Shadow Ministers, and I guarantee you knowing James Young, there'll be more. Early bird tickets are $25, and then they're going to go to $50. So make sure you get on that. And also a show favourite, I just want to have a quick shout out to our great mate Queenie, who's got a single launch coming up on the 5th. She is absolutely epic. Thornbury Bowl, so great venue. Put that one in the diary too. So there you go. Try and finish it off with a couple of positives before we just jump into a quick footy chat now. First two rounds, opening round, and obviously round, what do they call it, 1 and 2 after that. It's been a bit of a mess, hasn't it? You play, then you just play.
Kind of typifies what happened today.
Yeah.
Just another reflection of it.
Absolutely. So, just looking at the quick ladder, how's it sits at the moment. GWS and Sydney out of the blocks, fair to say, 3 wins each. Any surprises there for you, Lovey?
Let it back up for me, just for a sec, mate, if you can. Fremantle.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't think they'd be, quality of teams have played. You can only play who's in front of you.
Yeah.
Fremantle probably jumped out of the blocks. Maybe I was a year early with my predictions from last year about them finishing top 4.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not. Last weekend made me think same old Gold Coast, to be honest, against the Dogs. Can't play away particularly, especially. So nothing's changed with the Gold Coast for me. The Doggies are a bit stronger than I thought they would be. And, obviously Brisbane and Collingwood, that is they are big stories, particularly Collingwood. Brisbane don't look as vulnerable, but we'll wait and see what happens. If Collingwood beat Brisbane on the weekend, then I think both teams are in the shit. I think if Brisbane beats Collingwood, Brisbane will hold on okay. I think they'll be all right. Whereas Collingwood at Norton 4, you're not playing top 4 football at all.
Yeah.
You're winning it you're trying to win it again from 5th to 8th at best. So They're probably the two surprises, or they're the surprises for me.
Yeah, and biggest disappointments, obviously, based on that. You'd never expect that one to happen, I wouldn't imagine.
These are going all right, mate. Despite, I don't know what they're going to, whether they're galvanised this week or not, but
Yeah.
I mean, on top of that, you've lost your two key. Oh, you might get Lever and May back, actually, mightn't you?
They won't. It won't be this week. They'll be at least a week. I'd like to see May take two. Lever
Ribs has to be at least one or two.
Yeah. Well, the question with Lever is that innocuous knee kind of jerk that he's happened before. He's happened 3
How
times.
stable is it? How stable is that joint then?
Correct. And the fact he's done 2 knees is questioned as well. So mate, there's no reason to push him in. And I think my thoughts are T-Mac's got to go back. So he's back. And I think they're probably going to have to, when Petty comes back, he's not going to be the forward answer. He will get a chance to play back. So I think
he played on the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't Petty play on the weekend?
To be honest, I can't remember.
I thought he did.
I didn't actually get to see the game because I was up at the Benalla Street Art Festival. So
I agree. They're the two pillars until those two get back.
Yeah.
You've got Bailey Fritsch up forward.
Obviously, they're not May and Lever, but do you think there's any real concerns there? Like, did those two slip back into that spot?
I think as long as your midfield keep winning the football and keep transitioning back hard and fast like they are at the moment, I think everything's all right. The only thing that was ever an issue for you guys in the last 2 years, particularly finals, was forward shots on goal.
Yeah,
you killed yourselves both years with poor shooting for goal, and you've done all right so far this year on that. So I don't think it's that much of an issue because your other mid-sized and small defenders are fantastic, and you've got the best wingers in the comp who push back to help out as well. So no, I think structurally you're fine. I think your defence and your midfield's working pretty well at the moment. Again, it's just forward of the footy and whether they can finish the job off.
Yeah, and clarification, Petty did play on the weekend, so I think he's to have swingmen is huge in today's game to be able to do that. So look, the forward line gelled a bit. I had my doubts on Fritsch for a little while there for the last couple of weeks, but boy, has he proved me wrong quickly. 5 goals and probably just took hold of the game when he really needed to be perfectly honest. So very happy with that.
Kicking straight.
Yeah. He got the ball enough. He just couldn't convert and kick goals. So probably I went a little bit early on the sledge for him. So welcome back, Bailey Fritsch. and another big welcome back was Ed Langdon, actually. I think he really returned to form, which his form's been a little bit suspect in the first couple of weeks. And he probably maybe even the last year, he's just been a little bit off, but hasn't had to do as much wing-wise as you explode down the middle these days. But, he does get to hurt him the other way. So it was one of those, the old story, how do you beat Melbourne? Keep it off May and Lever. Well, you got to keep it away from Langdon as well. So, there's another point. So just on your boys, mate, there's a lot of people. I met 3 or 4 people up at Benalla Festival that were all Bombers supporters as well. So there's a big Bomber sway out there of people. Mate, what's your thoughts on just the first few weeks? What have you seen? How are you feeling kind of as a Bomber? Is it more of the same or is there a bit of life in the old girl?
There's a sameness. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a sameness about it. If we were to make strides this year, we win that game against Sydney on the weekend. We control that game to the point where we're either within a goal or we're in front for a majority of the game, and to not be able to win that because Sydney just played better footy in that last quarter says a lot as to the 2 or 3 steps behind we are on those top teams. And it's been like that as far as I can remember. Probably since the 2 years after the penalties we copped. So probably about from 2018 right through to now, we've been that same way, either just outside the 8, just in the 8 for almost a decade. And I haven't seen a change at all, to be honest. We get Parrish back next week, but we've lost our key forward for a month. So, we don't have any real defining match-winning forwards apart from 2 metre Peter. And you can't have you can't have Jakey Stringroll in multiple areas of the ground. He's actually, it's amazing what a good preseason does for you. And I would suspect in the first 2 games of the year, he's at least got 3 Brownlow votes. So, I think the boy's going all right. He's going pretty well, but yeah, it doesn't feel like a lot of change. And the thing that disappoints me is all this hoopla about we want to play Essendon brand. And we're talking to older players and older people in the club from years gone by. We want to bring back Essendon brand. Well, that's all well and good, but it probably doesn't suit this day and age of football. And second of all, someone made the comment on the TV the other night. I can't remember who it was. It was a really good comment. Cool. You're going to do that for all 23 weeks of the year. That's the question. I think it was David King. I don't really put a lot of stock in what he says when he talks about Essendon, but he was spot on with that. He said, okay, fine. So you're going to be that aggressive every week for the rest of this year because that's now your brand.
Yep.
Now, I can guarantee it can't be because it's just the attrition on that sort of footy is you can't do it anymore. You only got 44 on the list.
Yeah. Well, 44 and also a lot of young bodies too, right? So you just can't be expecting those young bodies to bash and crash week after week after week.
No, that's right. That's right. We've got to look really quickly. We've got a lot of really good kids coming through under 23. But our 23 to 28 brackets thin. That's the issue. I think that's our issue still. Our 23 to 29, 28, 29 brackets thin apart from Merritt, Parish, a couple of others.
Yep.
They're not A-grade footballers. I think we've got a lot of B-grade, C-grade footballers, to be honest.
So do you think more of the same, or are you giving the Bombers a little bit of hope that I see some marked improvement?
I think once the Doro's told to fuck off and we recruit properly and we draft properly, then we can build a list properly. We can build a list effectively. He just goes and gets the best available. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, last year we had one and a half many times people of what you would call midfielders in any other club. Why? Why are we doing that? All we've ever drafted is just midfielders because best available. Well, how's about you drafting young blokes that we actually need on our list? Draper's probably the only one I would actually rate that's actually been effective for us, but even now he's injured, so he's only just getting back. I don't know. I think there needs to be a complete change on the way we go about the list management, and he's that correlation between our failures of the last 20 years. So get out.
Yep.
Go ahead.
All right, let's move on to a couple of predictions, mate.
Mate. Let's do it.
This should be an interesting one. Straight up Thursday night, Brisbane versus Collingwood. This is you never would have called this at the start of the year. You'd be ready for this blockbuster, and now we're ready for a battle of the bottom. Unbelievable turn of events. But I just want Brisbane to win. The more Collingwood lose, the more happier I get. So
I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. I don't know. I got this bad feeling that this is the week that Collingwood gets their shit together, and I think they'll win by 10 points.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping you're horribly wrong, and I want
Same here.
want Brisbane by 10 goals. Just don't even give them a chance. But they've just got a lot of firepower, Brisbane, and if ever they get that running game going and get it together, just don't get hurt back the other way. That's going to be the secret. So they've got to kick goals early and just not get hurt the other way.
Well, psychologically, Collingwood have probably got an advantage. The players that have caught the rockets this week are the experienced players. Now, they know how to bounce back from that sort of shit. Whereas if it was all the younger blokes, they'd probably go, and you just cruise through, maybe get dropped and I'll get back. But these blokes, the ones that caught the rocket, I reckon if they get dropped, one or two of them struggle to even get back. So if they're going to respond, I think it'll be this week.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. North and Carlton, 16th versus 7th. This one is at Marvel.
Geez, $5.75 for the Kangas. Not that I promote gambling, but that's juicy.
It is. They're not that bad.
They're not that bad. They're not going to win. They're not that bad. I would take the 1 to 39, whatever that's got though.
Yep.
I reckon that'll be pretty safe. I reckon the Kangas are going all right. Zuha's Zuhar looks like a different footballer again this year. And they're young blokes who've stepped up immediately. Sheasel, Wardlaw, we knew about them, but they got a few of those young boys that are floating through. And there's smells of 2005 Hawthorn for me with Clarko. I mean, he copped a lot of shit last year. He's going through a bit, and he's a bit of a cantankerous sort of individual, clearly, but hopefully he and Fagan can put it behind, can get through this mediation stuff ASAP, because I reckon Clarko is still onto something with North. I really do. It's going to take longer than it did at Hawthorn, but I think the penny's dropping for a few of these guys, which is really good.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping they can get over the line. So the line, hopefully, is, you're right, under 16 points, I think. So I reckon I'm going to take them by 8. There you go. North by 8.
North by 8 points?
Yep. I'm tipping there's my big upset for the week. And then we move on to the
Blues. Yeah, I've got the Blues by 19 points.
Righto. We move on to Freo Adelaide. 5th versus 13th over at Optus. It's a good time to get Adelaide. Friday. Yeah. It's another Friday night special.
They're getting all the Friday nights. They finished 9th.
Yeah, absolutely. Good venue for night footy, though.
Yeah, it is. I'd love to watch footy. I've got to get over and watch some footy at Adelaide Oval. I think that's a priority.
Yeah.
It's a good ground.
Obviously, that gather round's coming up, which is effectively sold out again, which is great for them. But I think over at it's at Optus in Perth. I think just too good for Freo. They keep the ball rolling and end up 3 on the road.
I think Adelaide win.
What's your margin?
I do think Adelaide.
Freo by 20.
Yeah, I got Adelaide by 7. They're going to win one. And look, I'm surprised by Freo, which I'm going to say to myself then they'll lose this one. They probably shouldn't. But there you go.
And ex-Demon Lukey Jackson flying at the moment. So
Luke Jackson Cup.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not.
All right, let's get to the Bombers. Bombers, big chance. Here's your chance. Bombers St Kilda. The Gresham Cup, we're going to call this one. Gresham started well. The young man started well over at his new club. Hopefully it can continue. And the Saints are a little bit dirty on him that he left, I think.
Yeah, but you know what? If you don't give him the opportunities he wants, then he's entitled to go. So
absolutely you are, and I wish him all the best. And he's a good kid, and I know he's going to do well. But I really hope the Bombers can just, after the week that they've had, the disappointing news or unfortunate incident. I generally don't think he meant this. It was big 2-meter Peter and had no chance really. It was so split second. But as you know, the second you leave the ground, you're in trouble. Based on if there's the hits concussion, you're in. You got your mandatory 2 there, and they gave him 2 for 2 extra for.
Being an Essendon footballer.
Correct. So that's disappointing because the Bombers really need him. So they really need a fire for him. Hopefully that's a bit of drive for the boys.
I find it fascinating that there's a lot of blokes that haven't played football somehow believe that he should have had his arms out the whole time and therefore not protected himself. Yeah. And it's why has he got a duty of care for the guy coming back into the ball? That guy should be the one that has a duty of care for his own safety. Yep. Turn and come side on and make a contest that way. All you're promoting now is a bloke that can run backwards, go back any which way he likes, and you're not allowed to touch him. That's effectively saying, that decision is effectively saying you can't touch that bloke if he's coming back with the flight anymore. That's what that's saying. Unless you yourself expose yourself to the same collision. So instead of having 1 player injured, you'd have 2.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole that's farcical for me. I get this day and age. You got him in the head, and you're entitled to protect yourself. I don't know. I think it's don't get offended, basketball netball fans, but that now looks like it's basketball on grass. It really does. It means you almost can't make the connection. You can't make the contest because even if sorry, mate, I'm going to just hijack this just for
That's
30
okay.
seconds.
No problem. Yeah.
If he comes in and accidentally collects him with the elbow into the back of the head and took the mark, he gets knocked out cold. What's the consequence? It's still a concussion.
Yep.
They're saying, no, but that's okay. Okay, so then what if the guy coming back, the back of his head collects Peter Wright in the schnoz and knocks Peter Wright out? I mean, I don't understand. I'm not understanding where you're asking a footballer to deliberately expose himself into a contest, except rather than having the wherewithal to protect himself. That's all Peter Wright did. He didn't try and iron him out.
Yep.
He actually was just protecting himself. He felt the contest coming. He's gone, no, shit, nah, bang. And he turned himself. He should still be entitled to do that. It was a free kick, no problem. In fact, the umpire called play on. Anyway.
Yeah, disappointing.
Because he's out, St Kilda, unfortunately, St Kilda were 14 points.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm batting in your camp tonight, and I'm hoping that the Bombers can get it done just for big 2 metre Peter. So 18 points, the Bombers. They'd get it done with a late goal as well to just stretch that margin a little bit. But I think it's probably going to be closer than that, more like 12. But let's see if they can pull 18 at the end there.
Yeah.
All right, Port Adelaide, Melbourne. This, I reckon, this one's game of the round. Port Adelaide, there's a bit of history between these two. They don't really like each other, let's face it. But Travis Boak had a milestone last week. I think it was 350 games. Incredible effort that he's still top of his game really at the moment. And new captain, Ollie Wines, doing a killer job. So let's see how this goes. Obviously, I'm only hopeful that the Demons can get another one over the line and keep the momentum going. The Demons got a couple of tough ones: Port Adelaide, and there's one other that's a tough one coming up in the next 3. So
you've got to win this one.
Yeah, I think it's one that's we need to keep the momentum rolling now. So I'm going to go Demons by. I hope it's not closer than 20, but I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be could be a 6-point nail biter. So.
I think you guys are rolling, and I really think you guys can win by about 4 goals. Like I said, structurally, you set up fine behind the footy. As long as you kick straight, you'll win this game. I think Port Adelaide still haven't become that side that stops dropping games like this against the bigger teams, against contenders. They've been prone to drop these sort of games for the last 6-7 years, and this will be another one they do for mine. Who's up forward for them? Charlie. I mean, he's not firing that well. And I think once you get Tommy McDonald onto him and Harrison Petty can go to Finlayson, I think Melbourne walk away with a win here.
Yep. All right. Good news for me. Bulldogs, the 1 o'clock Sunday game, Bulldogs and the Eagles at Marvel. I'm going to back the Eagles in. There's a roughie. It's more purely on hope, to be perfectly honest. I don't want the Bulldogs. Obviously Melbourne made a mess of the Bulldogs in that final, but I think the Bulldogs are actually playing pretty well right now. So the Bulldogs should make an absolute mess. Let's be honest. But let's not. I don't want any dead, boring games this weekend over Easter. I want to be able to.
Unfortunately, going to have one. This is it. It's the Dogs by about 71 points for me.
Yeah. At what stage does the hammer really come down on the Eagles? How early in this season do questions really start getting asked? They need to show something, or there's going to be trouble there.
Yeah. Well, where do you drop the hammer?
That's right.
They're all young guys, and you can't just wipe out the whole of the experienced campaigners in one whack either, because then you're left with a club that's just would even be worse next year and the year after that. I think. Yeah. I think the list managers there, they've got a bit to answer for. When all chipped in, they got their 2018 flag and the rest of it, but they've done fuck all since. So it's got to be back office somewhere for mine. They've left Simo high and dry a bit, and because clearly Simo can coach. It's I think, I mean, the CEO moved on after a very long time last season. And I think quite a few others probably needed to go and freshen up that club a bit.
Yeah, and the format definitely, what we're so used to is when push comes to shove, they just push the coach out and think it's going to change everything. But in this case, he's a young coach. He can coach. He just needs the cattle, so he just doesn't have them.
I don't think it's anything to do with the coach. He's trying to coach these blokes into playing AFL football as best he can. There was glimpses of it even last week. So, it's going to take a lot of time.
Yep.
But it's back office.
And then we move to Sunday. The second game Sunday, 4:00, Richmond, Sydney. Richmond have really got to keep this ball rolling now, but I think Sydney are going to be too good here. Sydney don't play that well, as we know, but I think that's time they bust that shackle well and good. But they'll get a big crowd there on Sunday, and I think Richmond should be too good. I'm going to back in the Swannies.
I'm going to take a bit of a stab at the Tigers here. Will there be more Sydney supporters than Richmond supporters at the game on the weekend?
Well, that'll be really interesting because we know South Melbourne supporters come out and back their boys. Richmond, questionable how some supporters disheartened.
They flaked off. They flaked off last year. Towards the end of the year, they flaked off. And I see Richmond being a bottom three team. Probably fighting it out with Hawthorn in that third last bottom spot. They're not going to go that great this year. So I see Sydney making a bit of a mess of Richmond, to be honest. If Port Adelaide won by 50 points at the G last week, then I think Sydney's got them by at least that. And I also think you've seen the last year of Dustin Martin, no question.
Yep.
Probably Grimes. There's a few others. Nan Curvis, he's a plotter. I mean, Richmond have got a lot of big decisions at the end of this year. Yeah,
they have. Absolutely. They definitely sucked the life out of that crew to get that last premiership and very lucky.
Tim knew it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And ran. All right, the last game, Hawks. This is always the Monday special for Easter. Hawks and Geelong. I think this is always quite a competitive game. So I'm kind of hoping this is going to be the same on Monday. But look, the Cats should make a mess of the Hawks. But Hawks were, they came back after Melbourne gave them a bit of whacking first quarter. There's got some good players, some young kids at the Hawks, and if they can, hold them and be close all the time, anything can happen.
No, I think Geelong are travelling just as well as anyone at the moment. And who's Hawthorn put on Cameron? Who's Hawthorn put on Hawkins? Who have Hawthorn got for Dangerfield? Who have Hawthorn got for Stewart? All these older blokes at Geelong, and they're just rebounding from a shitty year. That's all they're doing, and they're going pretty well at the moment. So this is another 10-goal win.
Yeah, there's plenty of fire in their belly. That would be for sure. The Geelong for this year, with the Hawk probably coming towards the end of his journey.
Yep.
And we'll watch with bated breath for the Hawks. I'm going to try and ride the Hawks home by a goal. I'm going to want a close one. There you go. What's your tip? Or how much of the Cats
10 goals
win by? 10 goals.
10 goals. 10 goals.
Yeah. Righto.
Yeah. No mucking around on that one.
No. Well, there you are. There you have it for this week. We've given you some absolute roughies for sure. Not many that Lovey and I agreed on, but we kind of did that purposely from my end to try and create a bit of hype. Let's see if we can get back.
I'm just pretending I've got cash in my pocket I don't want to part with, mate. So
yeah,
there you go.
We can get back to seeing hopefully the game we love. 8 games are going to be tough to watch over this weekend period, but I can tell you now, mate, I'm getting out to see Eltham play Greensborough in the Northern Footy League. Eltham are back after a 5-year hiatus in Division 2, won the premiership.
Are they going to be solid or not?
Welcome back, Eltham. They got some good players, really good players, and Tim Bongetti coaching, who's an ex-Greensborough player. It's going to be exciting to have those two clubs back on an Easter Good Friday game. So Get out and watch some local footy if you're disheartened with the big stuff.
Two of the bigger clubs too, aren't they? Eltham,
Yeah.
I know Greensborough certainly is, but
Yeah, no, they're both big clubs, and wish them both all the best for this year. Got some good friends at both clubs. So,
awesome.
Have a good week, Lovey. Cuz,
You too.
get your shit together, and we'll see what we can do about. We might leave it a week or so, and come back and do one kind of every 2 weeks as far as these sports wraps.
Yeah, sounds good to me. And hopefully 2 weeks is enough for Cuz to get his act together.
We'll give him some notice.
Yeah.
Last hurrah, Cuz. All right. See you, Lovey. Have a good day, mate, and good night.
Take it easy, buddy. Ciao.
Great to have the Loveinator with us. He's one you can always rely on, and you need good mates that you can rely on. So, Cuz, you're either in or you're out, mate. Cast your vote. I will see you soon. Have a good week. See you guys. Most importantly, a great Easter.